You gotta be kidding. Wow. All right. Yeah, it's Pine Grove News Live. As soon as I can figure out what the heck that I did here. I can't get this thing to show back up. I don't know why. Anyway, computer can turn off at any time. Anyway, this is Pine Grove News Live. Alarm's going off. Yep, somebody's home. So, with that, I got to get me a soundproof booth or something, man. It's just irritating. All right, so hopefully everything's working. I don't know where this thing disappeared to, but it's gone. Well, we must put this up here. Yeah. Anyways. Wow. I don't know, folks. Oh, I guess we'll edit this out. Hopefully. Yeah. Do not know why this is not moving. So anyway. Huh. Very interesting. Just disappears. All right, so let's find out if it's working live on YouTube. Says we are. So let's find out if it's working live on YouTube. Wow. A lot of distractions tonight, man. I don't know why. What's going on with that? Yeah, even on YouTube, just go to select, the box on YouTube. It's got, wants me to answer all kinds of questions, while I'm live. I mean, give me a break. It is definitely distractions for, good for something. So anyways, we are still Pine Grove News Live, and it is 6:04, even with all our distractions. I guess I'll make it quick tonight. I don't want to keep anyone, so let's just get right to this other page. Get some of this news. This is pretty good news right here. I mean, Trump issues new rule ensuring prayer in schools is protected. Isn't that an awesome thing for a president to come up with, make a new rule? Yeah, I remember. Do you remember praying in school? I do. I believe it was in third grade. Don't know how old I was, but I didn't know much, though. I think I was basically starting to read, I don't know, harder. Doing, anyways, I forget. I have it in my head. I just can't explain it to you right now. But, yeah, we're doing some special reading. And we were also saying the Pledge of Allegiance in our school, yeah. And then we'd have prayer. That wasn't around a whole lot. Pledge of Allegiance was basically, I only remember that year in third grade. They might even done around with that the following year. So I definitely do not remember it in sixth grade. Yeah, I think I was 10 years old then. Yeah, so good thing. I mean, yeah. If the kids want to have a prayer session, or pray in school, why the heck not? get into that right now. Yeah, more news about Pope Francis. Pope Francis from Natural News. He invites this freakish circus with scantily clad women doing sexually charged dances to perform in the reptile-shaped Vatican Hall. Well, I guess it'll all go together, right? Look at the expression on his face. Yeah, it's called the Aqua Circus. Yeah, performers have put on a show for the Pope and pilgrims. Yeah, they got this word down here, creepy. The whole thing is just very, very creepy. It's nothing to do with God. Probably, quite the opposite. Anyways, from the Watchers, shallow, slow slip events detected along the Nenke Trough in Japan. So, I mean, I guess it's okay as long as it's a slow slip and it doesn't just let go. But there's the trough right there. The only thing I picked it up, the reason I picked it up is, man, it's in Japan. If that goes into the water quickly, just like that one in Hawaii and the one over there on the Atlantic and the Canary Islands, and, the one in Hawaii is slow slipping when we heard about that volcano. Saw that attacking homes. If that goes in quickly, man, we could have tsunamis. That's the only reason I picked that up. Otherwise, that island, man, those islands are just chock full of volcanoes, earthquakes. Weekly volcanic activity report. I try to get this as much as I can get it when I find it. Also from the Watchers. And apparently, they've one of these volcanoes, blew its top again. I guess they're wondering about the ash as well. I mean, we've just been lucky so far that we haven't had, and I don't know, maybe they've been going off for a couple of years. Maybe it is accumulative, this ash, and maybe that is the reason for some of this freakish, cold weather. Yeah, and by the way, I mean, it's normal. There's nothing, it's just normal here in New England. We got at least an estimated 20 degrees today. And with the wind chill factor, that'd bring it down to 9 degrees. And it was pretty darn cold today. And that was after, the weekend where we had, the 70s. So it's crazy. Crazy weather. So, let's see. Well, they got it right on the side here. New eruption at the Fernandino volcano in Ecuador. Let's go read this on the bottom. So, new activity and unrest that, like we just said, in Ecuador and Krakatoa in Indonesia, Ryukyu Islands, Japan, and Taal. This has been in the Philippines. This is also in the news, and I'm trying to remember what it was about. Maybe that's the one that blew up, but they're worrying about other things there too. I think there's a little bit of shaking going on there too. Well, when you got this volcano going off, I'm sure it would. And then you got the ongoing activity in all these other ones. Kyushu, Japan, Indonesia, Russia, South Island, Indonesia, Central Kamchatka, Russia, Mexico, Ecuador, Russia, USA, the Fox Islands, Japan, Russia, Indonesia, Mexico, New Zealand. The the normal places in the Ring of Fire. And so before we get into that 18 step, those 18 signs of where we are today as a people, I promised to put that out. Promised to put it out. Well, I would try to put it out yesterday, but obviously it didn't happen. Almost didn't get the news out today. But maybe it's to just put it out there when I get it done, and instead of waiting on the scheduled time. So you'll have it in a video, if you want to watch it. So this from the Express. An asteroid alert. NASA tracks a swarm of rocks barreling past Earth tomorrow. Let's see. 4 asteroids. And of course, they got a little video here. That's a 1 minute, 13-second clip that I'm not going to play. Nothing really there tells you much. But down here, asteroids are heading past Earth on what astronomers have dubbed close approach trajectories. NASA's tracking systems predict the first space rock, asteroid 2010 AE30, will approach the planet shortly after midnight tomorrow, which is today, Friday, 17th. So tonight after midnight. What do we know about the asteroids heading past Earth? I want to know how close they are. So you can go to the European Space Agency. You can go to the JPL and get those lists of the NEOs, near Earth objects. They're calling it near Earth objects. And let's see. I guess you could go to NASA too, and maybe they'll have a link there. I haven't been there in a while, so I know I used to go there for odds and ends. Space rocks frequently visit Earth's corner of space and sometimes cross paths with our home planet to disastrous effect. Yeah, talk about fear-mongering. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just truth, man. We think of the dinosaurs as that and that mass extinction, but I don't believe that it was the first and only one. I mean, you had that extinction that we were talking about the other day with the woolly mammoths, with food in their mouth, flash frozen in the north. That is not the same event. So something else happened there, and maybe, who knows? Whatever, some kind of ultra radiation, man. I don't even know if that is a category, but just burnt a hole in the atmosphere, and at that time opened it up in this particular area in the north, where we see a lot of the auroras, where the bulk of the radiation kind of gathers up. Either that and gets sent to the South Pole and, has these magnetic twists and turns and all those other things. But anyways, so as of January 7th, 2020, the European Space Agency counts 21,655 NEO asteroids and 109 NEO comets. 996 of these space rocks have been placed on ESA's risk list. So, so 996 on the list. That's a big, huge number. And when and where? Please, somebody tell us. Of course, that they probably won't. Because what would happen if they told you, right? What would happen if they told you is people would just quit their jobs, they wouldn't pay their mortgage, they wouldn't pay their bills, just like the movie Deep Impact tells you. Remember, Morgan Freeman was on there. Yeah, so talking about, this asteroid that was broken up into two by the bombs set off on it. And he said, keep paying your bills. Yeah, because that's what they want you to do. They don't want you to stop paying. They don't want you to go out there and it would be, and that's exactly what would happen. I mean, they know it. It would be total chaos. It would be one big free for all. With the amount of iniquity and darkness in this world right now, that's what it would be. Now, if we were, trying all to be Christ-like, and then maybe it would be a different story. But then, I think what we'd all have and know what would happen, we'd be protected. I certainly know that Christ wouldn't let these things happen. Heck, right. They even have, they even hinted at some other technology way back in another time that had technology like ours, or whoever was here. These underground things up there in Russia that they claim come out. It's not even our technology. It comes out of the ground and it shoots whatever, some kind of energy out and deflects these asteroids. I don't know. It's just they guess have never really proven it, but they have some very good theories. I'm not saying conspiracy because it's not a conspiracy, but just theories. They haven't really found these ray guns, to deflection. I mean, people are talking about even listen to Dave Hodges lately, right? He's talking about this sci-fi stuff coming to fruition, people using it, and the president coming out with this Space Force, even though, and that's one thing I agree with Dave Hodges, is we've had it for a long time. Why he would come out, Dave Hodges seems to know now, is because, their black op money is not enough, and they need to come out so that they can justify to the public, more money towards this Space Force, which we've had since the 47. So you think, tell me something, man. If you think that there are aliens out there, or, I mean, I know what they are on these spaceships, and they're coming from other worlds, coming to this planet, with all that technology, you really think that they be coming here just to crash? Really? Because that's all I hear about with these UFOs. Either the picture's too fuzzy, or they're flying at great speeds, or they're crashed somewhere. Somebody's always got some site somewhere where the thing skid and came to a halt there. But you go down there and check it, and it's just a piece of rock. But that's all you hear about. Crashed here. This one crashed there. What, are they all just bad drivers, or what? It's just funny, man. And I'm just going to say that to say this, that it's not aliens, it's us, probably trying to build craft, and gets out of, control of us, like most things that government or secret organizations, with technology like that do. They either open a rift and they can't close it, like supposedly that's still going open. Some kind of rift is open. Anyway, you can get into a lot of that stuff, man. There's just doesn't matter where you go on YouTube. So we'll go with this. I'm going to end with this article. It'll take probably about 5-10 minutes. This is from End of the American Dream. This is from Michael Snyder. 18 signs that the social decay in America is worse than it has been ever before. And don't worry, Michael, you don't have to. I mean, we know it is. So he goes on to say, in recent years, so many Americans have become completely obsessed with the ups and downs of the political world, but meanwhile our nation as a whole continues to swirl even further down the toilet with each passing day. Virtually any measure of social welfare that you want to look at tells us that the fabric of our society is rapidly deteriorating. And there is no future for us if we stay on this highly self-destructive path. Sometimes I get criticized for writing articles like this, but there's actually a very positive reason why I want to talk about these. My goal is to greatly shock the people with the truth of what we're facing so that they will choose to fundamentally change the direction of their lives. You think that would work, Michael? You think, especially with all these things going on, in the world with the weather and the earth moving and the whole earth tilting in another direction. Just so many things going on. You think somebody would be woken up, and there are much more people woke. But unfortunately, most Americans seem to think that things are just fine. So they're not open to radical solutions because they generally feel pretty good about their own lives and the nation as a whole. Yeah, that's what they're told on mainstream media, Mike. Yep. That's what they're told on TV, and that is their, programming. And yes. And all I have to say to that is I see all these things just like everyone else, who has their eyes open and ears open. We know what's going on. Just because there's not an asteroid landing in your backyard, or like Tatum said one time, a volcano popping up in your backyard, just because your house isn't floating away and spinning around on a tornado, doesn't mean that it's not happening. And look, open your eyes, stop, get out of your bubble, because it is going to come to a neighborhood near you. It is going to come next door, and it will eventually come to your door. I'm telling you. It's all been written. It's all been pre-programmed. God knew everything. He knows everything from the beginning to the end because he wrote the whole book. Anyway, the choices that we make individually and collectively as a nation are life and death choices, everyone. If we choose what is right, that will lead to great blessings. But if we choose what is wrong, that will only lead to great curses. It has been that way throughout human history. And great empires have fallen because they constantly make the wrong choices. Yeah, that's man. If you leave everything up to man, he has always made the wrong choices. When America falls, it will be because of what we have done to ourselves. Following the 18 signs that society, social decay in America is worse than it's been ever before. And number one, America has a serious drinking problem. Go figure. According to the new numbers that were just released, the average American consumes 500 alcoholic drinks a year. That is the highest level in modern American history. Number two, the number of alcohol-related deaths in the United States has reached an all-time high record. In fact, the number of alcohol-related deaths have actually doubled during the past 20 years. And he actually has links for these things, so we can go look at the data that he's got right here. Okay? So you can go, I left the link in the last video. Obviously, I'll leave it here. Go and explore those links, explore that information more. There's some of these things that we will go to. The number of Americans, number three. Number of Americans dying due to drug overdose has reached an all-time record high. Everywhere, man. The big opiate crisis. Here's the chart right here. Annual deaths. Let's see. From 1999, we had 64,591 deaths from alcohol, drugs, and or suicide. That has risen to 2017, from 1999 to 2017, so 64,000, and it double to 151,845. That's the total. And then it gives you the different stats down there, one for drugs, one for suicide, and drugs being the number one highest, suicide being the second highest, and alcohol being the third. Yeah, we're just alcoholic, drug-infested people on the brink of suicide. Number 4, the number of Americans that are killing themselves has reached an all-time high record. We tried to talk about this before. Same figure. You know, it went up from 1999, 29,199 to 47,000. Number 5, the suicide rate for young people in the U.S. rose to 56% in just one recent 10-year period. 56% in 10 years. It rose. I mean, we were talking about, especially these days. I mean, first, the number one, I guess it's the number one for kids in college, on campuses and stuff like that. It is the number one. It might be the number 2, but I will tell you the number 1 and the number 2, and I don't know which one is which yet. I thought suicides were number 1, but either case, if it's not, it could be 2, but the number 1 could also be just driving in cars, you know, driving around. Deaths from driving. Then you got all those, you know, our veterans, you know, all time, at least it's reportedly an all-time high amount of, and I have other records because I've got all kinds of data that I didn't include here of exactly the numbers of veterans that kill themselves each day or each year, including policemen, and past year or two, including farmers, with the crisis that are being, you know, generated, instigated, or, yeah, suicides. You know, if you look at the society and you don't have any hope, it's pretty bleak. Yeah, it's pretty bleak. But if anybody else is listening here and you happen to know a Christian, you know, not just one who professes they're Christian and does not, you know, show any signs of being Christ-like. Now I'm talking about Christians who actually, you know, will not laugh at your dirty jokes and will not take your abuse. And they're friendly, and I don't know, you can tell the difference. They're not high and mighty. Don't worry about that. They're not. No, I don't look at anybody else higher or lower than me. I may have a few years back, of course, but not now. I mean, a lot of things have changed, man. Jesus changed my life. Jesus can change yours, and you'll only find out if you go and, you know, look into it. Because there's a lot of people that, you know, think that they're down, they have no other hope. There's nothing to look forward to, and this is why they're taking their lives. But people, even if if you know people like this, if you have friends who are in these conditions, even if you're not a follower of Christ, why don't you suggest it to this person who's in trouble? Because maybe they'll be able to see, or at least go and test that out for themselves. There's a lot of people who don't know that is a place to go, a place of refuge, actually. You know, if you don't have any other hope and you haven't had Jesus, you best check it out. Because if you go and you haven't checked it out, I don't know, you know, darkness is darkness, I guess. Anyway, the number of Americans that did that, suicide, number 5, 56%. 6, the suicide rate for overall population increased. 7, the number of mass killings in the United States set a brand new record. We've been hearing that quite a lot, right? Whether that was set up or not, or instigated, or in any case, number of mass killings set a brand new record. Let's go look at that one for a second. Record high, and according to the New York Post, of course. So more than 210 people died this year in 41 mass slayings, making 2019 the deadliest year in massacres since at least the 1970s. And we won't get into which ones, we've seen or heard, but they have some lists there. Yeah, I didn't think it was that high. We don't hear about some of them, believe me. There's some of them that's not a mainstream media. It's not even in most alternative medias. But you can find them. One person may be reporting out of millions of people. Hard to find about. So anyway, a whopping 46% of all Americans have taken at least one legal pharmaceutical drug within the last 30 days. Everybody, it's kind of hard. It's kind of not normal to find somebody who's not on some kind of big pharma drug. It's being pushed. And they talk about the anal cancer care death rate in the United States has doubled over the last 15 years. Something people don't, normally want to talk about, but should be talked about. The mouth cancer rate in the United States has reached an all-time record high in the United States. According to the CDC, there are 110 million STD infections in the United States at any given moment. That's number 11. Yeah, New York Times. Of course, some of these sources I can't always trust. Yeah, so rose 4.7% from 15 to 16, 2000. That 9.2% of girls aged 15 and 19 were infected. Anyways, people, instead of teaching these kids, that they can, be transgenders at the age of 6, why don't you teach them not to have sex at all? Why don't you just stop putting these programs in front of them? One big mistake that I did, and just put my children in front of the TV because I was able to relax more, do something else. Or I was too busy playing games on the console. Yeah. Bad parent, very much so. Trying to change it now with my grandkids. Not working out a whole lot, considering where the father got their ideas of parenting. Number 11, or we get to that. Number 12, approximately 40 million people in the United States will visit a pornographic website on any given day. 40 million people. I guess that's not bad considering we have, 320, probably 325 million? 325 million? I haven't checked it in a year. But still. According to our own State Department, the United States is ranked number 1 in the entire world in sex trafficking. Yeah, and that's our politicians, people. The politicians, so rich and so power hungry that they think that they can just, treat and go buy some slaves somewhere and just do vile and vulgar things and get away with it. So this is why I don't understand what's going on. Well, I understand, what they're doing and where this darkness is coming from. That's about what I can say. But it's still, doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. Number 14, today, approximately 40% of all babies in America are born to unmarried women. I'm surprised it's not higher, a lot higher. It's only 50% of the married people that make it any longer than, what, 7 years or something. People do not stay married or they do not get married. See no reason for it. There's no... Oh, I just saw a star out there and it just went away. Are you kidding me? Oh, there it is again. Yeah, it's a... Anyways. Oh, that's moving. That's why. That's a different direction than planes normally move around this house. But anyway, sorry to get off track. Number 15, Tucker Carlson says the downtown San Francisco is now filthier than downtown Mumbai, India. Mumbai, India. San Francisco, the one that's been in the news a lot lately with all the homeless. What is this? Yeah, so he's doing his due diligence, man. He's bringing this out into his show, which is more, I can say, than most people in mainstream media. Seen a few documentaries. I mean, it's just terrible. I mean, what can we really do? Especially when some of them really don't want to, they want to be homeless. They want to be on the drugs. This is the whole problem, right? There's no hope. Everybody is losing hope. Everybody is becoming depressed. They're sad. They're angry. This is all I see now. You rarely see them. I see some at work, very happy people. Maybe they're on drugs. I don't know. I know I am. I'm on drugs. I have to take medicine. High blood pressure. Of course, I take medicine for my pain. Been doing it for many, many years. And off and on before that, from about the age of 26 on, off and on different kinds of drugs. They got me hooked early. 16, one poll discovered that an average American spends 86 hours a month on a cell phone. Now, what does that come to? 86 hours a month? I'm sorry, that's probably a lot bigger. An average American? What are they saying now? By average, 90% of Americans have phones. And look at, Obama made the ones who couldn't afford it, give them to them, The reason for that too, right? All that radiation in these phones being beamed right into our heads. That's why if you're going to use one, man, you're going to use a hands-free device. I always put my phone calls on speakerphone, or I have an earphone on. I'm not one of those people who's going to, if I do, I'll walk away. It's an emergency, but I'm not going to stand in the corner and just talk all day while people walk back and forth. I just think that's rude. I don't know. Different time. I'm a person from another era, so maybe it's normal. Number 17, the organizer for Bernie Sanders was recently caught on camera saying that U.S. citizens will burn if President Trump wins again in November. Sadly, he's probably right. I'm not going to say anything about that one. He's probably right. 18, last one in one recent year, 17 million more American adults were diagnosed as having a major depressive order. And this is one of the biggest major points. It is critical to understand that this is not the total of all Americans that have been diagnosed with a major depressive disorder. Rather, that it is just the number that were added to the overall total in 1 year. Well, I think it's critical to understand that it could be a lot higher. Anyways, has not fallen to the level of solving the ground. Well, I think this may be outdated, this program, because I think they've done it. I know there's some worse things that could happen, yes, but I mean, teaching your children about transgenderism in libraries, after school specials, putting in satanic after school specials and taking out Bible classes, um, there are all kinds of things that I really don't feel like talking about right now. And you probably don't want to hear them, but they're out there. There's a lot more evil out there that they've actually come to the light. They've actually passing you have an internet, you know what's going on. I mean, they're trying to legalize pedophilia. They're trying to make it some kind of disease. It's just, I mean, I can tell you what I think I have already told you, but a couple verses, paragraphs, chapters in, I believe it was Jasher, even spoke of Sodom and Gomorrah. And one of the rituals that they did every year was the entirety of the population went out to some field, big open plain or whatever, and kind of like I don't know, they went out there and, I don't know if it's one night a year or whatever it is, but they swap wives, they swap couples, and that's what they did every year as a ritual. I mean, and then there's some other things where they actually tie visitors to beds in the middle of the street and watch them slowly suffer, starve to death, die of thirst. Just a stranger passing through the city. Read about that one because one person was actually trying to save him, fed him, wet bread, watered bread every now and then, and they were wondering why he was still alive. Yeah, the story goes on and tells you what happened, but he eventually packed up and left. He did not die, but sure the majority did, just for kicks, just for ha-has, just for for the sake of killing some. I don't know what the motives were, but they were dark, and unfortunately, it's not just our country, it's the whole world. I mean, you see that starting in our country, but it's already well advanced in other countries. I believe in the UK, I believe over there in France and Germany and Sweden. You remember what they did in Sweden? Trying just, opening up a tunnel. I don't know what it is, but tunnel to hell. You remember that ritual that they had? Oh, that was just so dark, man. So demonic. And so we need help. If you don't think that this country, this world is in a world of hurt and definitely needs help, and that people are just living to get drunk, living to do drugs, living to buy other people and do to them bad things. I mean, there was more news about this Weinstein, just as well, it's not as far back, but 2018. You don't say far back. It wasn't that far back. Only a year ago. I don't know how to. But anyways, there's evidence that he was getting children, pretty young children too, to that island or another island. I mean, it was pretty well known for this. I mean, kept secret by the, from the public, because we're all programmed with the mainstream media. You know what I mean? They don't tell us that stuff. They're not going to tell you that stuff, even if they freaking knew. No, you're going to be listening to something else. You're going to get other news, and it's going to totally keep you, uninvolved, uninformed of what's really going on. It's just basically telling you lies. I can't believe I keep saying I can't believe, but I do believe it. But it's just the lies that have been told just from, you know, my young age. And at my young age, I was, an innocent, just like any other ones that were 9 years old. We went outside and we played a lot. We played kickball. We played wiffle ball. We played sports, and we played kill a guy on the hill and kill a guy with the football. King of the mountain, knock everyone else down. Whoever, last man standing on the top wins. We just did stuff like that. We didn't, these lies, they were all kept from us. We're all oblivious. We're all in our little bubbles. It was a good bubble, even though a lot of bad things happened in between some of those years. All in all, it was probably a normal upbringing, as normal can be, I guess, for people who are off a little. And I've, later in life, I've heard a lot about, people who have been abused physically, by their parents or relatives. It's just very, very sad. This gift that was given to mankind, to Adam and Eve, this urge to multiply and, populate the earth. That urge is just taken and then manipulated and distorted and made into something vile when it was made in the beginning to be something beautiful and pleasurable. God made it that way. And once God makes something good, because the 6 days of creation, every time he made something, he made it and it was good, right? And then I think it was the last day when he made man. I don't know if it was the last day he made man, but that's where I'm getting at. That's where he said it was very good. I think that's when he was done, when he saw the whole thing. Of course, he knew what it was going to be like any other craftsman. You picture it in your head and you do it, you create it. And it was good. And the devil takes everything since he fell, since he grew, as this beautiful, the most beautiful, talented angel ever created, the cherub that covered the ark, iniquity was found in him, period. He changed in his head, and he did the changing. He had a choice, and that's the one thing God gives all of us, choices. And we could change. We could change, and the Lord gives us, the foundations of life and how to live life. And it's in the Bible. You can go and read it and understand, and he has his standard of living. Go follow Jesus. I mean, he also talks about some of the things in the Old Testament with the statutes of God and how to treat, something that may come up, I know. Anyways, all I know is there is hope, though. There is a lot of hope. And I know I can say that I know where a lot of people have, are going to. A lot of people are at when they're depressed and they're angry and they're irritated and frustrated, because that's what this world brings. That's all it has to offer. It's all just temporary. I mean, heck, we're only here, it's supposed to be for 70 years. That's all we get, man. That's a blink of an eye, just about. I mean, that's not even a blink of an eye in eternity. It's probably, a thousandth or a millionth of a blink. We weren't made to live this short life and hate everybody and get angry and frustrated. No, we were made to learn some things, to understand some things, and that's why we were born instead of created like angels, because they're made one way and that's it. We have a choice. And see, Satan and 1/3 of his angels fell, made a choice. And I don't know. I just assumed that most angels didn't really, because they didn't live the human life. They didn't know what the wrong things would bring and what the good things can bring. Anyways, that's what we're here for. We're here to learn a lesson, but we need to learn from the right person, the right entity, whatever you want to call it. I mean, God came here in flesh to show you that you can live a life you can live life more abundantly if you follow the standards that he set for us. And they're not, they may be a little harder than some of the things that we do, because it's just instinct just to sin, because that's our nature now, because we were cursed by Adam and Eve, who, changed their mind too and decided that they wanted to know good and evil, instead of just letting God take care of them and enjoying the whole garden, and tending the fields and being out on a nice warm sunny day, sitting in the blades and just, talking to, say, a lion, or talking to a monkey in a tree. Adam named all of them. I mean, obviously they were, enticed, deceived, and so we must pray that we're not. And if you know anybody who's depressed, who's having a hard time, just tell them that there's always hope. There's never no last thing. There is always one more thing to do, one more thing to see. And anyway, that is my hope, and your hope grows, your relationship with God grows, and you need to understand, well, I don't know if you need to understand, but you need to try, if you're interested in something like that at all, man, living life more abundantly instead of depressed and dying inside. Is that the way you think that it is? It's wrong. It's the way you were trained. In any case, I don't know. I'm going to keep going on and on and on about this if I don't stop it right now. So, yeah, and my 15 minutes, like normal, has turned into an hour. So, with that, anyway, God bless everyone. Enjoy your Sabbath Eve. I do think that we need to take one day out of the week. I don't care whatever your Sabbath, whenever it can be, take that one day and go be with God. Read the Bible. Open the book. Pray every morning. Pray before you go to bed. Go in your closet. If you're worried about people seeing you, go in your closet. Lay down in your bed and do it quietly. But pray. But get that conversation going with God. Ask him questions. Tell him you have questions. He'll answer you. I know he will. He's answered a lot of people that I know of. He's answered my questions. Not all of them, at least not yet. Still waiting on some of them. But anyways, it's been an awesome journey, totally all together, and it's far from over. Far from over. That's what's great about that too. Eternity with Jesus Christ. And in paradise, in heavenly conditions. Never knowing pain anymore, or sorrow, or never another tear will be shed. Never. Only with people who love you, surrounding you. There'll be no need for any sleep. There won't be any need for any food. I mean, who's to say? I'm sure there are angels that came and fed themselves. things, just think about those things. You think about heavenly things. The more you think about them, I mean, heck, right? The more you want to be there. So, go proclaim that to someone who is depressed. Give your passion for that, and give that to them, and hopefully they'll catch fire, right? All right. God bless everyone. Hopefully be out there over the weekend, but I don't know. It looks like we'll be looking for a job for my wife. Too many bad things have been going on wrong there. So we'll probably both be on the computers looking for that. And I don't know. I know I'm not going to spend the whole weekend doing that. I like to have my praise and worship time. Look forward to seeing you over the weekend. God bless everyone. Peace out.